I'm Effie Parks. Welcome to Once Upon a Gene, the podcast. This is a place I created for us to connect and share the stories of our not-so-typical lives. Raising kids who are born with rare genetic syndromes and other types of disabilities can feel pretty isolating. What I know for sure is that when we can hear the triumphs and challenges from others who get it, we can find a lot more laughter, a lot more hope, and feel a lot less alone. I believe there are some magical healing powers that can happen for all of us through sharing our stories, and I'll take all the help I can get.
Once Upon a Gene is proud to be part of Bloodstream Media. Living in a family affected by rare and chronic illness can be isolating, and sometimes the best medicine is connecting to the voices of people who share your experience. This is why Bloodstream Media produces podcasts, blogs, and other forms of content for patients, families, and clinicians impacted by rare and chronic diseases. Visit bloodstreammedia.com to learn more.
Hello, welcome to Once Upon a Gene. I'm your host, Effie Parks. We are right in the middle of the holiday season, 2022, and I hope everyone is hanging on, and I hope you're finding the bright spots, and I hope you're getting the support that you need for the other ones. Once Upon a Gene is here. I hope it is some level of support and companionship for you. Please reach out if you need anything, or if I can help, or just be an ear. I'm thinking about all of our families this holiday season. So recently, the FOXG1 Foundation held their in-person scientific and family conference. And like everything FOXG1 does, it was incredible. I tuned in virtually, and I'm so glad I did. I learned a lot, so I highly recommend going and checking it out. If you don't know the FOXG1 Foundation, you should. And if you do, it's probably because they've helped you in some way move your own patient advocacy forward in some way. You also probably recognize one of the names of the co-founders, Nasha Fitter. You've heard her on the podcast a couple times. Back on episode 94, she shared it with Mike Graglia of FOXG1 Research Fund, and they lay out the entire path to starting your rare disease patient advocacy organization. So go check that out. And also she guested on episode 47, where she talks about Citizen and taking control of your own medical records. Update on Citizen. It's now open to every neurodevelopmental disease, so go check it out. They're a true luminary, and they're a force in our network for sure. Their foundation is doing amazing things for these kids, which in turn helps all of our kids. I'm talking with the co-founder today, who's mama to beautiful little Josie. She's telling us some of the nuggets that she kept with her from the conference, and she's also sharing a couple hot tips on seizures. So you're gonna want to stay tuned and listen to that. There's also an end of the year fundraising campaign that they're holding, so go check it out. Donate if you can. And also it might give you some ideas for ways to run some fundraising campaigns of your own. Thank you for listening. Please enjoy my conversation with beautiful rare mama, Nicole Johnson. Hello, Nicole. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Effie. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, I'm so excited to actually talk to you in person. It's funny, I was thinking earlier that I just feel like I know everyone already and that we talk all the time. But yeah, this is our first in-person conversation that isn't text. So I'm so happy.
I can't believe it. Wait, have I really never heard your voice through the line to me? Because I hear your voice on your wonderful podcast, and we talk all the time on social media. So this is so lovely for it to be actual real-time conversation.
I know, I'm thrilled. And I know that we all have so much to learn from you. You're one of the leaders at the FOXG1 organization, and you're also a parent to the beautiful little Josie. And you're one of the most empowered patient population, caregiver population, and just really successful patient advocacy groups around. And you're thoughtful and you share your information to help other patient advocacy groups get better, which is something that I really respect. And we're all so lucky to have you as leaders ourselves in the patient advocacy group world. So I really appreciate it, and thank you.
Thank you so much for that. And I actually was just speaking to someone yesterday who I said, I feel that it's my duty to give back to new organizations, to other organizations, to help each other, because we are so blessed to have such incredible mentors who have been at this longer than us. Allison Berendt from FAST, Monica from RET. I mean, we learn from some of the greatest. So we want to help everybody move the needle faster because, we don't have time. A lot of us, we want to see all this work we're doing come to fruition in our children's lifetime, even though we know we're building the foundation for something that will last much longer. Time is not really on our side. So if, rare is one, as CZI says, so then whatever we can do to help others, we will always do.
Well, you definitely walk the walk, so I really appreciate that. Can you tell us a little bit about Josie and perhaps meeting Nasha and you two devising this wonderful plan to start the FOXG1 Foundation?
Sure. Yeah, so Josie will be, she's 11 on November 23rd. Can't believe it.
Oh my gosh.
She's 11. She's 11. She's such a big girl. She is, in my humble mom opinion, the cutest little girl on earth.
Totally.
She's just so amazing because there's, she has FOXG1 syndrome. She is on the severe spectrum of FOXG1 syndrome. She really can't do much. She can't even sit up without falling over or anything above that. And she suffers. She suffers with epilepsy. It's heartbreaking. She can't talk. She, is always drooling. I'm always sticking that suction in her mouth. We're in and out of the hospital. She can't tell me what hurts. But yet, Josie is the happiest little girl. She laughs. She's just so joyful. So I just feel so blessed to have this being in my world. And that is Josie. And she's always been this way. So, so my mission is to give her and every child with FOXG1 syndrome what they deserve, not to change their joyful demeanor. We are so lucky to have that, but just give them a healthy life that they deserve.
Yeah, I think all of the parents listening now can totally relate to that. Just like the joy that they have unconditionally is something that you are in awe of, like every single day.
It's amazing.
It is. It's miraculous.
Truly amazing. I mean, if we had any of these problems that our kids have, we would not be joyful. If we had one of these problems, we would be bitching about it all day long. Yeah. So it's just so amazing. It's just so pure. And it's just incredible. So we're just so lucky to have her. And that's why we just want to give her what she deserves. But to your question, how did I meet Nasha? So at the beginning of my journey, so Josie's 11, and at the beginning of this journey, we were on a diagnostic journey because we didn't really have the tools that are available today. So it took us 2 years to find out what Josie has. And in that time, I was blogging. I've got this blog, josiedevon.blogspot.com, which I still turn to sometimes. But I was casting this wide net. I remember saying, I'm in search of Dr. House. I don't know if anyone remembers that TV show. Trying to figure out why could nobody tell me what is wrong with my daughter. We're doing every test, and it's still all coming back. We don't know. So it took us 2 years to find out that she has FOXG1 syndrome. Once we found out about whole exome sequencing, which was new at the time. So I was blogging, and in my blog, I was, I guess my positivity was shining through. And a few years later, Nasha's daughter was born and then diagnosed with FOXG1 syndrome. And she read my blog, and she called me out of the blue and said, I don't know how you're so positive. I found your blog. My daughter was just diagnosed, and she really noticed my positivity. And we talked for hours, and she talked about, the research strategy she had been thinking about. And we just kind of devised a plan and said, there's a way to do this. And, let's take this unfortunate diagnosis and let's turn it around together. And we teamed up with FOXG1 parents in Europe and all over the world and formed the FOXG1 Research Foundation in 2017.
Wow, that is so beautiful. I love that you had this lifeline that you cast out for anyone to find you, whether it be a doctor or a new parent, and what you both band together to do with it, and that you gathered all of your patients from everywhere, right? Like, I love that you devised this plan in 2017, and to see where you're at this point with everything that you've done is really, really mind-blowing, and I'm not sure you sleep.
I'm not sure I sleep either. But yeah, no, thank you. And it's funny because at the time I was just blogging for me. It was cathartic and I didn't know if anyone was reading it. I was just writing it because I didn't know what to do with what was happening. When Josie was 4 months, we first noticed something was wrong. Then at 6 months, she wasn't sitting up or rolling over. At a year, she wasn't doing that. At a year and a half, I'm like, okay, my daughter isn't developing. And it's for a new parent, what panic, and I can't say that the panic has ever really gone away because, hey, us moms with children who have epilepsy, as positive as we can be, we do live in crisis mode at all times. And that's just our life. Putting things out there, you never know what you'll get in return. So I always advise just go for it.
Chronic crisis and vigilance mode. That's what I like to call it.
Mm-hmm. That sounds about right. Yep.
Okay, well, you two are amazing. I recently had the pleasure of logging in probably 1,000 times to your recent family conference that you had in Florida a few weeks ago. And it was so rich. The content was so rich. The delivery of so many of the presentations was so empathetic. And they were so digestible, I think, to families who had traveled all this way, who perhaps aren't necessarily completely versed in all of the science, who are working their way towards becoming the experts that they will be. I just thought that it was artfully done and it was approachable for every type of person in the room, which I appreciated. It didn't seem like anything was over anyone's head, but also elevated enough for people to want to strive to figure it out.
Thank you.
Yeah. Can you tell us kind of your top takeaways from the conference and some highlights that have stuck with you that are kind of still noodling around in your head?
Oh yeah, I haven't come down from it yet. It was such an incredible experience, such an incredible milestone for us in these 5 years since we launched the FOXG1 Research Foundation. And for me personally, I took it on like a production. So I was a TV producer in my first life career. For many years, I was a TV producer. So I think I really approached it like a TV show, like a production, and how to, like you said, make it digestible, and really thought about my audience. So we actually hosted 2 conferences in one. So first we had a science symposium. This was on a Thursday. And we had scientists from all over the world fly to Florida in a private meeting, which started at 8 a.m. and went past the 6 p.m. end time, and to present their data. So this was actually the 3rd time we've done a science symposium, and we could not believe how much science we have underway. I mean, even though we know, because we're working with it every day, seeing the scientists all come together in one room and presenting their data and realizing we needed 2 days for this, it was really mind-blowing. And just to see how far we've come on the science front was just so incredible. And the data that was uncovered was incredible. We're really learned some promising data on the road to therapeutics for FOXG1 syndrome. Really promising data. And then after the science symposium, we did an offsite dinner, which was at a restaurant up the road. And then we all walked along the beach back to the hotel together. And it was so clear that for the scientists, many of who have been with us since the beginning, that this isn't a job for them. They are invested in helping our children, helping all children with FOXG1 live a life without suffering. I wrote FOXG1 in the sand and then watched the waves wash it away. And I said, that's it. We are all here to wash away FOXG1 syndrome. And it was, because we decided to do this conference in Florida, that all these things just came together. And that's what it is. We are washing away this horrible disease that our children suffer with. And these scientists all together, it's a family now. So that's just the science symposium.
My God, I'm crying. FOXG1 in the waves, washing away.
Yeah, I said, Nasha, I need you. I called her from the hotel. I'm trying to do something by myself, but I can't film it and write it at the same time. So she said, okay, I'm coming. And she held her phone. I quickly, because the waves were coming in within like 10 seconds. So I had to write FOXG1. I remember she said, write syndrome. I was like, I can't. I don't wash it away too fast. So we have this video. We played it during the conference. And that's it. We are here to wash away FOXG1 syndrome. And every scientist from Australia, Japan, Italy, the UK, we're all together as part of this mission, part of this great ocean. And so it really, I must have cried a million times, and I still can, because just knowing that your team is so passionate and dedicated and their heart is in it is just really, truly amazing. And so that's the way we did it as a private science symposium, so that we could really share this unpublished data. You know, there's a lot of trust there. And this is the third time, and it's in those one-on-one meetings after that, you know, the real magic happens. And then on Friday, all the parents started coming. So this was a parents' conference. It wasn't really billed as a family conference, because I said, let us do our first parents' conference first, because I couldn't sleep at night thinking about a full family conference with everyone's FOXG1 child there, because I don't even know how to travel with Josie. But some families did bring their FOXG1 children, which was really, really wonderful. They had someone to take care of them while they were in the conference. So that was important. But it was a really beautiful thing, especially to watch FOXG1 siblings meet each other. So I do look forward to our fully well-produced and planned family conference in the future. Now that we dipped our feet in the water, no pun intended, or pun intended. The parents started arriving, and then it was Saturday that we had a full-day parents conference. And again, from 8:30 a.m., and we blew past the 6 p.m. close, and we will need 2 days next time. And this was a blend of clinicians who are FOXG1 clinicians. The scientists stayed, and then FOXG1 parents, all coming together to learn from each other. So the theme of our conference was Connect, Learn, Inspire. And it really happened. And in every degree of all three words. And having we had the 3 neurologists that see the most FOXG1 patients in the world all together. And they did a neurology session. We had a GI specialist, a pulmonology specialist. Actually, when you said the word digestible, I smiled, because the GI's presentation was digestible tips on GI issues with FOXG1 syndrome. So it was just, there was so much learning. There was, so many things that I didn't even know going into, even though I spoke with every speaker before. So we just learned so much. And then our director of science gave a full recap of the science symposium. So, everything that we learned on Thursday, we presented to everybody on Saturday. So it was just full. And we ended the day with a whole lot of inspiration we had a FOXG1 mom there named Pam Skillman, whose son is 29, and she's also a therapist, a licensed family therapist. And her presentation, I still have chills, because first of all, she has so much to teach so many of us that have younger children. And then being a therapist, she really knows how to teach us how to take care of ourselves. She was just so beautiful. And then we closed the day with everyone's favorite rare mama, Nikki McIntosh. Right?
And Nikki.
Oh my gosh, she gave such an inspirational talk, really understanding the challenges and joys of being a rare parent. So it was a whole lot of information and then a whole lot of inspiration. And I'm still obviously still floating on everything that happened.
Well, I think everyone probably is. I mean, there's nothing like being together. And, you talked earlier about the scientists, right? And how touched and moved they are to be like seeing what their work is actually doing, right? Like, I can imagine how fulfilling it would be to maybe go from just working in a lab and doing these things because you're doing these things, but to know that they're actually going to these people with these faces and these beautiful children, and what you're doing every day and how much it matters. from morning until night to all of these people's lives, that's got to be such a motivational and fulfilling aspect to their work.
Oh, yeah. And one thing that was said, and it just really stuck with me, is the science is there. And so that was something, that we learned with conviction. The science is there. I mean, we are working with the same gene therapy team that worked on Zolgensma, the gene therapy, FDA-approved gene therapy that is working for children with SMA. So, we know the science is there. We know there are so many gene therapies in clinical trials right now. We are working on something that we truly believe can work for our children. And even, we opened, our keynote speaker was Allison Brent from Angelman from FAST. And she showed us a video where she's saying, to think that all this hard work has led to a drug that is going into the brain of children with Angelman, because they are in clinical trials right now, and she was crying when she said it. It was so inspirational for all of us to hear, this is not science fiction. This is happening. And we are part of this journey together. And it's, and the journey includes all parties, so the parents, the patients, the scientists, the clinicians, the donors. Well, I should start with the donors, the parents, the patients, because we can't do anything without the donors. But it takes a village, and we have the village. So it's, truly amazing.
Yeah, I love that distinction of this is real. This is happening. This isn't just hope for tomorrow. It's actually working.
Right. I mean, look at children with SMA. So then Nikki closing the day, she said something to me that is so meaningful. She said, it's because of people like you, the FOXG1 Research Foundation, who started from nothing, and said, we have to have a strategy. We have to move towards this. It's people like us who did this for SMA, how many years ago, that her child is a recipient of this gene therapy, of this drug that has saved his life.
Yeah,
so has changed his life. So that made me realize, there were so many moments I said, if it's only for this, then it was worth it. So I have so many of those.
Well, I hope that you know that. I really hope that you know that, because it is that, right? It's everyone coming after you.
Right.
That's being impacted. It's not just FOXG1 kids either, right? I mean, look at Allison presenting to you and the work that she's done that translates to how everyone else can kind of follow along in different ways, right? It's just sharing this knowledge and everyone getting better and moving forward together.
Exactly. It's such a domino effect of, every minute of work put in, every dollar spent, every dollar donated has this massive domino effect of the lives that it will help and touch and save.
Let's talk about those dollars and those donors.
Yeah.
Because, everyone's hustling every single day. I know that FOXG1 has a really special fundraiser that's going on until the end of the year. Tell us about it.
Right. We have the Race to 100,000 campaign going right now. And parents all started their own race teams on our website at foxg1research.org. You could see the Race to 100,000 teams. And so we're giving prizes to the teams that raise the most money towards the finish line. So I'm really hoping this is a race to 1 million. But,
me too. I'm crossing my fingers.
But so start with, hopefully realistic goals, and that we reach 100,000 by the end of 2022 or blow way past it. So each parent, each family is out there, promoting their own race and helping us move forward. Yeah. I mean, fundraising is the hardest part, I would say. The science is there. We have to fund it, and it costs money. So the more fundraising ideas we could come up with, the more events that parents do, the better. The more, so we're growing our development team, and we always have to be, thinking, how could we raise money? We have to think outside the box, creative ways. So right now we're doing the Race to 100,000. So feel free to check out, if anyone listening, check out any of the adorable teams on our website. Team Josie is mine.
What advice do you have for the patient advocacy group leaders in motivating their caregivers and their patient population into not only understanding their disease and getting involved in one way or another as an advocate, but also coming on board for the fundraising aspect of it when they're dealing with so much.
Yeah, that's very, very challenging. And it was hard. I would say one of the biggest challenges we had is communicating through the screen, right? So you only know people so well when you're talking on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, whatnot. But at the end of the day, parents are at home living their real lives. So how could I communicate, hey, don't you want to join us? That we're real, that we're really doing this for you. And then at the same time saying, hey, have you filled out the patient registry yet? Hey, have you joined the natural history study yet? Have you filled out your surveys yet? Why don't you start a fundraising team? Did you do the biobank, the stem cell biobank yet? So it's like, we have so much to say to parents and so much we want to say to parents to communicate that all this work is being done to help improve your children's lives. But it's a challenge because people see things quickly and then they go, on with their lives. So what I've always said is it will come, and let your work speak for you. So that was really something that came to me at the end of this conference, because I will say, for anyone starting a patient organization or running a patient organization, you will know how hard it is to reach your whole community. And to convince your community, like, hey, we're here for you. Please help us, because if we do this together, we will just get there faster. So that has definitely been a challenge, and a surprising challenge too. It's surprising to see how hard it is to convince parents to fill out the registry. Register your child as a FOXG1 patient, because they get 1 million emails a day. So I understand it, but the challenge is real. So I always say, let your work speak for you. So the more we do, the more parents will see that we're doing. We just announced the first clinical trial ever for FOXG1 syndrome for an epilepsy medication that will be hosted at NYU. So it's things like this that then parents reach out and say, there's a trial, I would like to learn more. And then you have conversations, and then they really realize how much is happening. So, it does take a lot to get that one-on-one conversation with the parent. The conference was the biggest, I would say, if we only did it for that reason alone, is to have this time to actually sit down for a long time with parents, sit outside and talk about everything we've been doing. It's so important. So let your work speak for you. Don't say what you're going to do. Say, show what you're doing, and it will come, because parents do realize and parents do join. After this conference, I have 10 more parents joining our volunteer team. We have 3 new international chapters starting. And it was only because we were together to talk about it that they said, yes, I'm in, I'm on board. So
yes.
That was a long answer.
No, it's so good. I think it's so profound, right? Like there's only so much connection that you can get through the screen and through all the Facebook posts that you're doing to try to get people to do things when they're busy and you're busy, and to actually have that in-person connection and to feel motivated by the energy in the room and to see it all unfolding in front of you. I mean, 13, 15 new people joining your team, that's incredible.
Yeah. And so happy to, just so happy to. And then the other thing is it's like they're living this hard life. So when I'm saying, do this, do this, do this, it's like I become annoying. So, so it's really only, so I'm glad COVID is behind us, let's pray, and that we're able to do it in person, because the in-person is so important.
Any advice or things you learned later that you can share to patient advocacy group leaders about holding a conference?
Oh gosh. Yeah. If you're considering whether to do it or not, do it. Absolutely do it. We got sponsors, which was hard. Definitely in this environment, it was hard. And we were able to do a travel scholarship, and that really helped parents come. because the burden of costs would prevent a lot of parents from coming. So because we were able to fly parents in, thank you to American Airlines who donated miles, that really helped. And I was really set on doing it in a location that felt like a vacation. Because if parents can get away, let's make it feel good. I mean, and maybe selfishly, it's like, I just want to feel the sand underneath my feet because seeing the ocean does wonders for me. So when we first sat down and said, okay, we're going to plan a conference, where in the world should we do it? And we thought New York, DC, California. And we started to think, well, where are most of our families? And then most are in the East Coast. And then also we have families across the pond in Europe, overseas. So the East Coast made more sense for them. And then doing it in a place which doubled up as a vacation, when there was one couple that said, we have not been away together since we got the diagnosis a year ago. And we are just having so much fun together. They had help at home for their children. They came just the two of them. And I said, if there were no other reason why I put this conference on, it was for them.
Amen.
Exactly. A FOXG1 parent needs that. They need to reconnect. So there were just so many great moments like that. And so I really recommend finding somewhere that adds that level of enjoyment.
I would totally agree. And I'd like everybody to really listen to that second part. I did snap a photo of American Airlines when I saw that they helped sponsor you. And I'm so glad they did. That's so valuable to be able to help families come to an event like that. And yeah, really bonus points to having it somewhere where it was nice. It was vacation-y. People could actually unplug a little bit, be warm. So many of us live in the darkness of Seattle and places that are cold. That was a really good idea.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Before we were recording, we were talking about epilepsy, and so many of our rare disease kids have seizures. And I've found that, talking to thousands and thousands of rare disease families, that probably the biggest stressor on a parent's shoulders is the epilepsy, the seizure situation. It causes visible stress no matter what. I mean, I've seen my friends age because of their kids' seizures. And I know that you got some interesting insight if you'd like to share it.
Yeah, this was amazing. Back to, if this is the only reason why I did this conference, this was worth it. We were out to dinner. It was the offsite dinner after the Science Symposium. And I'm sitting with the 3 neurologists who see the most FOXG1 children in the world. They also run Rett clinics. And I'm talking about Josie and Josie's seizures, and that she's on 5 medications right now. And she's still having seizures. And I'm going into, what is it doing to her brain? I remember being told that, or reading, I don't even remember where I learned this, but a seizure is like the brain running a full marathon. And I'm saying, just how devastating it is every single time she has a seizure, to think, what is that doing to her brain? How is this hurting her? And all 3 of them looked at me and said, it's not. I said, what do you mean it's not? And they said, these seizures, these types of seizures you're saying she has, they're not really hurting her brain so much. They're pausing her brain, but they're not hurting her brain so much. And I could wait. I shouldn't jump to give the rescue meds. I could wait. And I have started doing that, and that she will come out of it. They said if it's status epileptic seizures, there are types of seizures that are more dangerous, but that the typical seizures that our FOXG1 children have most often, and that many children in the rare disease world, encephalopathies, have, are not the type of seizures that are really doing damage and really hurting their brain. And I asked 3 more times, really? Really? So it's not really hurting her, and it's hurting you more than it's hurting her. So like I said, if there was one reason alone to have this conference, it was to have that conversation. And it just really highlighted what I believe parents need to hear, because if we could remove some of that stress from ourselves, and some of that I live in constant crisis mode from ourselves, we could just live easier and healthier, because the stress of what is this seizure doing to my poor baby that's too much on us. And that takes a toll on our own health. So that was just a major aha, or, just a major discovery that we shared at the parents conference. And the biggest takeaway for most parents was that they could, relax a little, monitor it, but just understand that it's not as terrible as we always thought it was.
I bet you haven't even fully absorbed that information because it's so good.
I still, yesterday, Josie went into a seizure, and I'm like in the wild, wild west. I grabbed the midazolam. I'm ready to spray it up her nose. And I go, wait, Nicole, hold off. And I waited and she came out of it. That 2 minutes of waiting feels like 2 days because her eyes are rolling back and she's just not there. And I waited, and like the neurologist said, when you're waiting, grab your phone, take video of it, take as much video of the seizure as you can. And really, when she started the seizure and I reached for that midazolam, I should have reached for my phone and started the video at the beginning so we can really capture these better. The more armed you are with information for your neurologist, the better. They could tell you exactly what kind of seizure this is, without having the EEG data as well, but they can see it. So, yeah, so do I fully believe it's not hurting her brain? I don't know that I'm there. She did go to sleep after, so it's very hard to believe, but I love it.
Yeah.
And I trust them.
Give it to
me. Yeah. And my own neurologist is amazing too. I was sorry he's not there. And I guess it's just the hardest thing for a parent to grasp that it's okay. It's not okay, but she's going to be okay.
Right. Sounds like that should be one of the presentations for the next one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, there was the neurology session, and that was in the panel discussion. Yeah, I made sure to ask it in the panel discussion, and I think I asked it twice. So it's so you're saying it's not so bad. So you're saying, yeah.
Is there a way that people can go watch the conference now? Is it recorded and on the cloud somewhere?
So it will be on our YouTube channel. It may be there now when this is airing. So we have a YouTube channel, FOXG1 Research Foundation, and the full parents conference is up there. I'll say it's up there by the time this airs, so I'll say that again. So the full FOXG1 Research Parents Conference is on our YouTube channel. Just look for the YouTube channel for FOXG1 Research Foundation, and it should be chaptered, so you can watch each session separately and share it with anyone. And we really encouraged all of our parents to share certain sessions with their care team. So there was a session on FOXG1 standard of care. So for a lot of times parents say, I live in this remote area, I live in this other country, and my doctors have never heard of FOXG1 syndrome. So they really don't know the standard of care, which, by the way, is a paper that we're working on. So these sessions should help inform clinicians as well.
Well, I just have, from personal experience, it actually helped inform me in one of the panels, the pulmonologist that was speaking, and she was speaking about what can happen from severe hypotonia, which Ford has. And we see our pulmonologist regularly because he's always chronically lung diseased. But nobody ever talks to me about what can happen over time with hypotonia. He uses a cough assist and stuff when he's sick, but she was saying things like what you have to do on a regular basis to make sure that doesn't deteriorate. And my mind was like, oh my God, I'm hanging up and calling Children's right now and moving my appointment up.
Yep.
So I even learned for my child, because so many of the symptoms, right, on our diseases are similar and the same.
Absolutely. It's funny you brought her up because this is such a scene out of the Rare Disease Patient Organization handbook. Josie was in the hospital, and she had sepsis earlier this year, and it was terrible. We really did almost lose her. It was terrible. And she was there for a few weeks, and the pulmonologist who you saw at our conference was the pulmonologist who was explaining to me over Josie's hospital bed what happened to her lungs. And the way she was explaining it to me, I have my mom and I have my organization antennas up, and I wanted to film her so that I could share this with everyone, because she did such an incredible job at explaining to me about her lung capacity and the way it works and how much she was suffering. And who knows how long she was suffering. And she had aspirational pneumonia. And I don't even know how long she had that, because she seemed fine. And so it was right then and there when I said, okay, well, we're having a conference. And would you be available to explain all of this at our conference? And she said, I would love to. Now let's get back to Josie.
Oh my gosh, you're so lucky.
Yeah, she was amazing. And, and again, having her meet the other clinicians. And now she is part of our global FOXG1 Clinicians Network. So, which I started this network so that clinicians could speak to each other. So it all happens, it all happens for a reason, I guess. But even the hardest moments, like Josie's hospital stay when she had sepsis, look what it's turning into. It helped inform you of what's going on.
We might have to have another episode on how you built your network. What I want everyone to know that's listening is that this isn't just a FOXG1 family scientific conference. This is valuable to all of us in different ways, with symptomatology and stuff from our kids, and just even getting ideas, right, of how your conference could unfold and what you could include, and different ways to kind of think about content that you're presenting to families. And yeah, it could raise your alarm bells of what your child is not necessarily getting addressed because of various reasons. So it could help someone for sure. So even if you're not a FOXG1 family or someone who loves a FOXG1 kiddo, I highly recommend going and watching other families' conferences for various reasons.
Absolutely. And what I've learned recently too is, as we're working on our standard of care guidelines, I'm looking at other disease group standard of care guidelines, and they're not so different. So, this information at these different conferences, like you said, really applies to so many neurodevelopmental diseases. So it's also useful. I want to go to them all.
Totally.
I want to go to the Rett conference.
Hey, American Airlines, we have an idea.
Yeah.
It's called a rare disease plane.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, tell everybody one more time where they can go and participate in your Race to 100,000. And let me know if there's anything that I didn't ask you or something that you want to leave with our listeners.
Great, thank you. Yeah, so to help support the Race to 100,000 campaign, you just go over to FOXG1Research.org, and you'll see at the top there, Race to 100, and you could pick any adorable team to support, and we thank you so much. Also on our donate page are different ways to donate, ongoing different ways to donate. You could donate crypto. That's a new one that we added, tax deduction crypto donations, stock, employee giving. There's so many ways to donate. So thank you so much. Because like I said, the science is there, but without our donors, we can't fund it. So it's so important. What else? Gosh, I feel like we could speak for hours.
I know, we could.
Yeah. I think I've said everything that's top of my mind for the conference, but we're really excited to be planning the next, and I'm happy to help guide any other disease groups at any time with it if they have any questions for what worked for us and what didn't.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much, Nicole, and congratulations on all of your hard work. It's paying off, and I'm so grateful that I got a chance to talk to you. Thank you for being my guest today.
Thank you so much, Effie, and thank you so much for what you do for the rare disease community. You're incredible.
I hope you've been enjoying this podcast. If you like what you hear, please share this show with your people, and please make sure to rate and review it on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. You can also head over to Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter to connect with me and stay updated on the show. If you're interested in sharing your story, or if you have anything you would like to contribute, please submit it to my website at effieparks.com. Thank you so much for listening to the show and for supporting me along the way. I appreciate y'all so much. I don't know what kind of day you're having, but if you need a little pick-me-up, Ford's got you.